Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Democrats are again playing the same verbose legislation tactic to hide their true agenda. The so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill may have set a new record. After House Democrats blocked the measure to declassify intel on COVID-19 origins, Republicans released an update report that shows all roads lead to Wuhan lab. Former President Trump's legal team has amended his legal class action suit against big tech as tens of thousands of Americans have asked to join the case. A city in Washington strikes down a little girl's lemonade stand. What's especially infuriating is there are more pressing issues at play. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Last week, senators voted to advance the bipartisan infrastructure bill for debate, even before the bill was made available. Republicans are divided on this bipartisan partnership, as it'll probably pave the way for more and larger liberal packages. Concerns from the doubting Republicans have now materialized. On Sunday, Democrats released the legislation. It is 2,702 pages long. Here's a picture of the bill, which shows you how thick it really is. If the Senate is going to vote this week on the infrastructure bill, it would be humanly impossible to read it before the vote. In March, Senator Ron Johnson forced the chamber to read the 628-page American Rescue Plan, and that took about 10 hours. The so-called Rescue Plan has little to do with COVID, although it did pass eventually. The infrastructure bill is 4 times longer than that. No bill should be that long. The bill was again designed to make lawmakers vote without having a full understanding of it. The only time you do that is when you are trying to hide something. Even at just a glance, the measure doesn't only focus on core infrastructure, as some Republican negotiators like Susan Collins and Rob Portman claimed. A big chunk in the energy section is about measuring and reducing carbon emissions. It looks fishy. Sources familiar with the draft reportedly said the bill was being written in secret for months outside the normal legislation process. Sources also leaked the text to some media outlets ahead of the official release. They worried the murky process may have led to widespread corruption throughout its 2,700 pages. An update probe on the origins of COVID-19 pandemic supports the lab leak theory. Representative Michael McCaul on Monday released a new report authored by Republicans in the House Foreign Affairs Committee. McCaul said in a statement, "As we continue to investigate the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, I believe it's time to completely dismiss the wet market as the source of the outbreak. Instead, as this report lays out, a preponderance of the evidence proves that all roads lead to the WIV." According to the report, the leak happened sometime prior to September 12, 2019. I'll cite a couple pieces of evidence that support this claim. First, the disappearing database. On September 12, 2019, the lab's online public database of samples and virus sequences was taken offline. The database contained more than 22,000 entries about samples and pathogen data collected from bats and mice. To date, no reason has been given to why the database was removed, and the data has not been put back. Second, an unusual overhaul project. There also appears to have been ongoing maintenance and repairs in 2019 at one WIV campus, Wuhan National Biosafety Laboratory, the WNBL, in 2019. It's a large complex housing more than 20 biosafety level 2 to 4 laboratories. On July 31st, 2019, a $1.5 billion hazardous waste treatment system renovation was requested. The timing is worth questioning. At the time, the campus hadn't been operational for even 2 years. For such a significant renovation not long after the facility began operation is unusual. Was it because the lab realized problems in its waste treatment system may potentially leak pathogens? Third, traffic patterns at Wuhan Hospital near the WIV. Researchers from Boston University, Boston's Children's Hospital, and Harvard Medical School used satellite imagery to examine the hospital's parking lots in Wuhan for 2.5 years prior to December 2019. They found that 5 of the 6 hospitals analyzed had the highest volume of cars in September and October 2019, before the first officially reported cases of COVID-19. These hospitals are close to the headquarters of WIV. The headquarters is where Dr. Shizheng Li and her team conducted gain-of-function research on coronaviruses. Fourth, The CCP's big cover-up. The WHO noted in August last year that little had been done in terms of epidemiological investigations around Wuhan since January 2020. It's odd that the CCP wasn't keen on finding the source of the outbreak, if it was unknown. On February 25, 2020, the Chinese Center of Disease Control and Prevention issued regulation on how scientists work on research related to the virus. The guidelines prohibit sharing information related to COVID-19 with other institutions or individuals. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The CCP used all sorts of ways to cover up the outbreak and censored information. If the Wuhan lab was innocent, if the virus had evolved naturally, there's no incentive to obscure the investigation into the origins. But it's not just the CCP that's been hiding information. The report says that Wuhan lab researchers, CCP officials, and potentially American citizens all directly engaged in efforts to obfuscate information related to the origins of the virus and suppress public debate of a possible lab leak. On July 20th, House Democrats blocked a bill that would declassify intel on COVID-19 origins in the Wuhan lab, a move definitely against the public's best interest. In May, the Biden administration ended a Trump-era inquiry into the connection between the virus and the Wuhan lab and allegedly started a new one. However, it's been 2 months and we've heard nothing. In a report released by the CDC on July 30th, the agency identified 469 cases of COVID in Massachusetts linked to large public gatherings in Barnstable County. 74% occurred in fully vaccinated people, and the Delta variant accounted for over 90%. In Massachusetts, 64% of the population has been fully vaccinated. So what the data shows is that the fully vaccinated may have a higher chance of contracting the Delta variant. Of course, there are other factors at play, such as the unvaccinated have limited access to public events in Barnstable County. However, vaccination certainly can't prevent you from contracting the Delta virus. This must be part of the reason why the CDC recommended masking among the vaccinated, and why the White House didn't want to disclose the breakthrough case rate. The Massachusetts data contradicts what CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky told Americans last week. She said, quote, "On rare occasions, some vaccinated people infected with the Delta variant after vaccination may be contagious and spread the virus to others. 74% of the positive cases are fully vaccinated." What makes her think these are all rare occasions? On the same day, the CDC also published another report on vaccine safety in adolescents. About 400 American children between the ages of 12 and 17 were diagnosed with inflammation of the heart after getting the Pfizer vaccine. The condition, also known as myocarditis, occurred mostly in young boys. However, heart inflammation wasn't identified as an adverse reaction during the vaccine safety trials for Pfizer. The CDC has performed a risk-benefit assessment based on the adverse reaction reports and continues to recommend the vaccine to children 12 and under. The reports were taken from the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, VAERS, between December and July. However, one of the authors from the CDC acknowledged VAERS is a passive surveillance system, which means the system is subject to underreporting and reporting biases. The CDC study wasn't designed to capture all cases of heart inflammation. The condition was only counted when the term myocarditis was used. On Monday, Louisiana became the first state that reinstated a statewide mask mandate indoors, effective on August 4th. The mandate applies to Louisianans over the age of 5, regardless of vaccination status. Democrat Governor John Edwards renewed the statewide health emergency proclamation on July 21st, which gives him power to issue a mask mandate. Edwards cited the state's low vaccination rate and the spread of the highly transmissible Delta variant as the cause. Only 37% of Louisians have been fully vaccinated, among the lowest in the country. Louisiana seems to be following the CDC's exact recommendations. On the same day, CDC's director said everyone in a K-12 school should be masked in the fall.
I think our guidance is very clear about where we should be in schools, and that is everyone who is in a K-12 school in the fall should be masked. Everyone across the country, adults, children, vaccinated or unvaccinated, everyone should be masked.
Aside from the adverse impact of masking children during their social interactions, the physical benefits of wearing a mask for children is very questionable. In June, a group of parents in Florida submitted 6 face masks that their children had worn to a lab. The study found 5 of them were contaminated with bacteria, parasites, and fungi. 3 masks had dangerous pathogenic and pneumonia-causing bacteria. And coming up, we have the latest on Trump's class action lawsuit. What happened when authorities shut down a little girl's lemonade stand? And you will not believe what's going on in Maricopa County. But before we continue, I wanted to mention that in the recent weeks, we've had an increase in subscribers, and I strongly believe it's from all of you sharing and recommending the show to your friends and family. So everyone, grab your mug that matters, and let's have a toast. I want to genuinely thank you all on behalf of the Eye Opener team. Your support for us and our mission to get truthful news out to the patriots is greatly appreciated. Salute. Former President Trump's big tech class action lawsuit is getting bigger. Nearly 65,000 Americans who experienced big tech censorship submitted their cases through the American First Policy Institute, and these additional complaints were filed on July 27th. Author and journalist Naomi Wolf, at the opposite end of the political spectrum, also joined the lawsuit. Wolf is a longtime liberal and former campaign advisor of both Bill Clinton and Al Gore. She's also a critic of the vaccine passport and media coverage of the pandemic. Her Twitter account was suspended for allegedly sharing so-called misinformation. The growing number of people banned by big tech is leading to a wave of self-censorship. Wolf said, "I've gotten so many emails from other reporters saying, 'I really admire you. I'm so sorry you were deplatformed.' But she asked each one, 'Can you say that publicly?' They all said that they were afraid of being deplatformed too." During a July 7th press conference, Trump predicted that thousands and possibly tens of thousands of people would join, and the case will go down as the biggest class action ever filed. The former president also said the lawsuit will seek punitive damages over the suspensions. Lemonade stands are sweet summertime tradition for children. It's also an awesome way to make a few bucks. However, a 7-year-old girl's lemonade stand turned sour recently. Elsa Lemaine opened her lemonade stand in Rucker Hill Park in Everett, Washington. Not long after opening, a park ranger showed up and informed the girl's grandmother the stand had to go.
So where did you have your lemonade stand? Can you
Every
show me?
summer, 7-year-old Elsa Lemaine
right.
sets up her lemonade stand at Everett's Rucker Hill Park.
It was sort of fun.
She sells drinks, treats, and flowers suitable for a princess. But no princess story would be complete without a villain.
There was a wicked witch out there, and she called the rangers.
A neighbor Elsa dubbed a wicked witch complained to the city. A park ranger showed up and told Elsa and Grandma Sherry to close up shop because the city doesn't allow people to peddle products on public property.
I was like, "Are you gonna shut it down?"
He was really nice about it, but he told her that she had to move immediately.
The situation has angered neighbors because a homeless camp sits nearby on city property, but those folks are allowed to stay.
Shame on that neighbor for making that complaint. What's infuriating people the most about the news is that one person complained about the lemonade stand, and that was addressed immediately, while numerous complaints about the homeless tents in the park went unheeded. The city isn't giving priorities to the more pressing issues. A little girl's harmless little business is, however, the target. Something is seriously wrong here. One resident in the neighborhood told local media, "The area has always been a problem. The past summer has been the worst. I don't feel safe in my backyard. I have called the police 5 or 6 times so far this summer. It seems homeless and criminals are more protected than law-abiding folks." What's more insulting is this sweet little lady, Elsa Lemaine, always donates half of her lemonade profits to the local homeless shelter. The little girl donated $60 this year. Now let's turn to election audits. Officials in Maricopa County and Dominion voting systems on Monday refused to comply with the Arizona Senate's latest round of subpoenas. The Senate is seeking ballot envelopes, credentials for voting machines, voter records, and routers or router images from the county. Maricopa's attorney, Allister Adel, commented that the subpoena might not be lawful. She argued the order was issued while the Senate was out of session and described it as overboard. In a separate reply, Dominion's lawyer claimed the subpoena was legally defective. The voting company threatens to pursue all remedies available, including recovery of its attorney's fees, expenses, and damages if a legal challenge over the subpoena is triggered. Dominion also objected to public record requests made by the Senate, citing the firm is not a public body and therefore has no obligation to make its records available for public inspection. Its CEO, John Poulos, asserts that the security keys and passwords of the machines are not public record, so they won't give them out. Currently, the Arizona Senate is preparing a formal response to the county and Dominion. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.